It's Friday, February 16. In the headlines, government considering direct elected mayors. Bob Marley One Love movie grosses millions on opening day. In business news, Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited and others reports increase in revenue. Regionally, Grenada and Ghana signs visa waiver. And in sports, JFF awaiting word from FIFA to set presidential election date. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Jamaica's national budget is now firmly in the $1 trillion range, with total expenditure and payments for fiscal year 2024-2025 estimated at $1.3 trillion. Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clarke, made that disclosure while tabling the 2024-2025 estimates of expenditure in the House of Representatives on Thursday.
This is to be financed by revenue and grant receipts of $1 trillion and loan and other financing of $0.3 trillion.
Dr. Clarke explained that the Revenue Expenditure Profile program generates a targeted positive fiscal balance of 0.3% of GDP.
Contributing to the $1.3 trillion expenditure profile are non-debt recurrent expenditure of $769.9 billion, capital expenditure of $80 billion, and debt service of $491.2 billion. Non-debt recurrent expenditure includes allocation for recurrent program expenses at $327.8 billion, as well as compensation expenses at $442 billion.
More than 12,000 viewers tuned in to watch PBCJ's live coverage of the local government election debate on Thursday. Political representatives from both sides admitted that they would support more directly elected mayors. Thursday night's debate was focused on local government policies and how these impact Jamaicans, in particular, whether the current system is fit for purpose or in need for re-engineering. One aspect is the election of mayors. Noting relative decisions made in its past administration, shadow spokesperson on local government Natalie Nita Garvey said the party has been serious about replicating this across other municipal corporations.
We believe in the directly elected mayor, and if we had not lost in 2007, that process would have continued. The truth is, at the end of the day, it is something that we are going to be continuing because we understand the importance of giving the citizen his voice and being able to directly elect their own mayor to serve their own business.
Jamaica Labour Party's councillor candidate for the Pepin division, Venetia Phillips, said while she's not against that process, she noted the system under which Portmore elects its mayor has not worked.
As we said, we're not averse, but we, of course, intend to engage with the people, follow up with the action that is affirmative and representative of the views of the people.
The matter of how to get more Jamaicans to participate in elections also came up.
In the case where 60% of the population abstains from voting, as seen in previous elections, would you interpret this as a collective rejection of both the PNP and the JLP? And how do you plan to remedy it?
All municipalities under PNP administration, come post February 26, will ensure that the people, the citizen, remains or returns to the center of this process. We have done it before. We will do it again.
I think it's your message to us as political representatives on either side of the aisle that you are fed up with low performance. You are fed up sometimes with the lack of accountability. So we understand that apathy is real. It's real the world over. So how do we plan to remedy that? The Jamaica Labour Party is committed to ensuring that we regain and sustain your trust through performance, through engagement, through communication.
Governor General, His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen, says the government intends to continue its thrust to improve road infrastructure. Noting the recent highway and parochial road improvements, he explains in his throne speech at the ceremonial opening of Parliament that there is more to come in this financial year.
Under the Special Capital Expenditure Program, construction of the first road project, Grange Lane, commenced in December 2023. The feasibility studies for the Brayton-Hellshire Road and the East Kings House, Lady Musgrave Road projects have been completed and are now undergoing evaluation.
He says plans are in place for the new entry to Portmore from the Mandela Highway via Municipal Boulevard.
Widening of Sandy Gully Bridge on Washington Boulevard and upgrade to the Arthur Wint, Tom Redcombe Drive and Camp Road will undergo Public Investment Management Systems Review and commence construction in the 2024-2025 fiscal year.
The Governor General adds that Jamaicans are expected to see a $40 billion shared prosperity through accelerated improvement to the road network program, SPARK.
Approximately $150 million is to be located to each constituency for roadworks, with additional allocations to be determined based on mileage and an assessment of the condition of the road network.
Governor General His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen says the government is continuing its march towards a peaceful, productive and prosperous Jamaica. Citing the benefits of a national ID program, he notes that post offices are being renovated to be used as access points across the island.
Design work for 23 post offices renovation has been completed, and contracts have been approved for 12 post offices modifications.
On the matter of developing resilience, he explains how the government is implementing related policies.
The National Natural Disaster Risk Financing Policy, which was approved through Parliament, will guide disaster risk management and financing to ensure adequate financial resources for relief, recovery, and reconstruction. In 2024, the government will further strengthen financial sector regulations and key legislation, including 1, the Custom Act, which, having gone through a joint select committee, is expected to be taken shortly.
Through recommendations made by the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission, the government of Jamaica continues to make progress in transforming the education sector. Some of the progress were mentioned on Thursday during the opening of the 2024-2025 parliamentary year. Danita Rodney tells us more.
The government is currently implementing the recommendations of the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission, the JETC, recognizing that this will be a multi-year, wide-ranging transformation exercise which should enable the success of every learner.
That was Governor General His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen while he was delivering his throne speech to those present at the opening of the 2024-25 parliamentary year at Gordon House on Thursday. The Governor General said continued success is possible through dialogue and partnership.
Dialogue, partnerships, and feedback are essential to the success of this process, and the Transforming Education for National Development Trend initiative to include a robust communication campaign was launched with the tagline, "For a Brighter Tomorrow."
Sir Allen also made mention of possible changes to legislation.
Significant changes to include some high-impact legislations, namely the Jamaica Teaching Council Bill, the amendments to the Education Act and regulations, and the Overseas Examination Commission Amendment Bill.
Launched in 2020, JETC was mandated to review and assess Jamaica's education system, including its structure, operation, and processes, and to recommend an action plan for change, and since then, changes have been made across the island. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I'm Danita Rodney.
Jam World Entertainment Complex in Portmore, St. Catherine is being renovated to become Jamaica's first 24-hour entertainment zone. Governor General His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen made the announcement during the throne speech on Thursday at the ceremonial opening of Parliament.
The Jam World Entertainment Complex is being renovated for the facility to be the first 24-hour entertainment zone to address the need for designated entertainment areas.
Paramount's Bob Marley One Love movie's first day in cinema was bigger than projected. Its February 14 opening earned $14 million. According to IMDb.com, it's the best Valentine midweek take ever. The online database Entertainment Hub says audiences loved it more than critics, with an A cinema score and 5 stars on Screen Engine ComScore's post-track. Paramount's promotion of the film has been ongoing since last year, with teasers and a local premiere with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry and Meghan in attendance. This week, they refurbished the iconic Ferris wheel in the vicinity of the Eiffel Tower in France. Time now for the Business Report with Denise Williams.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, your guide through the latest happenings in the world of business. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited, for the year ended December 31, 2023, reported a 16% increase in revenue to US $75.20 million relative to US $65.01 million in the corresponding period last year. The increase in revenue was due to greater levels of traffic over the previous year, in addition to movements in the toll tariff, which is reviewed annually. For the year ended December 31, 2023, net profit of US $23.86 million relative to a net loss of US $0.71 million was reported in 2022. The Proven Group Limited for the 9 months ended December 31, 2023, reported an 18% increase in net interest income totaling US $13.31 million compared to US $11.28 million in the corresponding period last year. Management noted the uptrend in global interest rates in the first 2 quarters of the financial year, coupled with growth in the core credit portfolio, have jointly contributed to widening spread income across the banking subsidiaries of the group. Net profit attributable to shareholders for the 9 months ended December 31, 2023 amounted to US $17.95 million, a 447% increase relative to the US $328 million that Proven reported in 2022. MFS Capital Partners Limited for the 6 months ended December 31, 2023 reported a 98% decrease in revenue, totaling $360,600 compared to the $14.59 million in the corresponding period last year. Administrative expenses increased by 113% from $10.55 million in 2022 to $22.53 million in the period under review. Consequently, net loss for the 6 months ended December 31, 2023 was $17.63 million. This compares to the 2022 outrun of a net profit of $5.88 million for MFS. Jamaica Teas Limited for the first quarter ended December 31, 2023, reported a 26% increase in operating revenues, totaling $840.03 million, compared to $665.64 million in the corresponding 3 months last year. Investment income amounted to $54.94 million, while other income decreased by 46% to close at $355,000. Sales and marketing costs increased by 31% from $15.8 million in 2022 to $20.66 million for the first 3 months. Administrative expenses for the first quarter amounted to $104.60 million, a 32% increase relative to the $79.39 million reported in 2022. Profits to shareholders for Jam Teas for the 3 months amounted to $47.4 million, a 72% improvement from the $27.57 million reported in 2022. During trading on February 15, 2024, the top advancing stocks covered the real estate, investments, and construction sectors on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference Shares advanced 1.29% for a $2.76 price increase to close at $217, with 5 shares traded. Burita Investments Limited shares advanced 1.28% for a 90 cents price jump to close at $71.25, with 807 shares traded. Caribbean Cement Company shares advanced 0.16% for a 9 cents jump to close at $55.15, with 1,617 shares traded. On the declining stocks that traders experienced on February 15, 2024, the top 3 losers covered the real estate, distribution, and construction sectors on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. 138 Student Living Jamaica declined by 2.96% for a 12 cents decline to close at $3.93, with 1,751 shares traded. A.S. Bryden & Sons Holdings Limited declined by 0.71% to shave 30 cents off its price to close at $41.70, with 142 shares traded. Berger Paints Jamaica Limited declined by 0.8% to close at $6.20, with 383 shares traded. Trading activity on the first-tier market of the Trinidad and Tobago stock market for February 15, 2024, registered a volume of 600,000 shares crossing the floor of the exchange, valued at $2,944,000 TT dollars. Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 475,962 shares changing hands for a value of $2,048,000 TT dollars, followed by NCB Financial Group Limited with a volume of 90,000 shares being traded at $274,500 TT dollars. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies, we turn to the Forex market. On February 15, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $23.5 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $12.5 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $157.72 and bought the US dollar for $154.99. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $2.73, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a trading profit of $9.56 from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $109.68 and bought for $119.24. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $10, selling it for $201.45 and buying it for $191.45. For our credit report tip of the day, improving a low credit score requires discipline and persistence. It involves adhering to a strict budget, prioritizing debt repayment, and resisting the temptation of frivolous spending. By cultivating these habits, individuals not only improve their credit worthiness, but lay the groundwork for long-term financial success. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, in Grenada, a visa waiver is part of a memorandum of understanding signed by Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell and the President of the Republic of Ghana. More from GBN News.
Grenadians and Ghanaians can soon enjoy visa-free travel between the two nations following the recent signing of 3 Memoranda of Understanding, or MOUs, by Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell and the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo. The visa waiver agreement exempts all citizens of Grenada and Ghana from visa requirements to enter, stay in, transit through, and depart both countries. The visa is valid for a period not exceeding 30 days in any 180 days from the date of first entry. The two parties signed on to further commitments on matters of culture, trade, and education in a bid to enhance the existing ties between them. Some of the initiatives may include cultural and educational exchange programs, business and investment forums, and knowledge-sharing platforms within the Afro-Caribbean brand. The MOUs were signed at the Silver Sands Hotel hours before the military parade for Grenada's 50th anniversary of independence celebrations at the National Cricket Stadium on Independence Day, at which the President was the guest of honor. The President's visit, which marked the first visit by an African president since 1980, also included his attendance at the joint sitting of Parliament on February 6th. He was leading a high-level delegation, which also included his Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Shirley Ayoka Botchwe. Reporting for GBN News, Beverly Tellisford.
In Guyana, addressing the recent strike action, Vice President Dr. Brat Jagdeo said the government is spending more on salaries and wages for teachers, especially with thousands more hired and with higher qualifications. He pointed out that the government was spending $15 billion more on salaries to teachers, a more than 60% increase.
So that's a $15 billion increase from 24.4 to 39.4 billion on wages and salaries for teachers. That's a 61.4% increase in allocation for wages and salaries for teachers. Now you would see the across-the-board figure is lower than that. And why is this so? Because we have hired more teachers and we have adjusted the graduate levels significantly. If you check any of the reports from the period when we're in opposition, you'd never see me advocate for a specific percentage. You will see that I urge them to meet. And my point was, if you could find money to pay a 50% increase for ministers the 3 weeks after you get into office, then you can find money for the teachers. That is what I was saying. If you could find money for ministers, they found money not only for a 50% increase for ministers, but then they went on to change the per diem policy. They went on to change the policies where ministers would have security and several drivers and personal assistants of several of those. They went on to spend more on insurance, health insurance for ministers and their families. I said, if you can do all of these things for the ministers, why can't you find more resources for the teachers?
In St. Kitts and Nevis, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew says legislative amendments are being written to send the message that the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is not open to human trafficking.
The Prime Minister briefly updated the country on the status of the two groups of nationals who were rescued from sinking boats off the east coast of St. Kitts when he addressed the matter in a 13th February cabinet press conference. According to the Prime Minister, the legislative tightening is to dispel the notion that the state is easy on accepting persons being illegally transported into our territorial waters.
Where the decision is based on the situation in Haiti, and we are still going through the refugee status with the UN. It takes some time. But as you can see, the situation in Haiti continues to deteriorate. And it would be, where we would have to send them back, we would have to ask, would their lives be in danger? These are the kind of questions asked before you send back people. However, based on what the AG said today in terms of human trafficking, St. Kitts is not open to human trafficking. And that is why we are going to the parliament to stiffen the laws. So nobody have any ideas that you go to St. Kitts because of how we may have treated humanely others. That is the type of people we are. That is the type of country that we have. But to say that that is the status with the Haitians presently, that they are within their communities and going through the UN refugee status program. And the Cameroonians, to say again, most have gone, few are here. And the few that are here, they are employed and also going through process.
The Prime Minister indicated that most of the rescued Cameroonians have left the island, with just a few remaining on the United Nations refugee program. He said they were employed while their status is being processed. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
In sports, Jamaica's Football Federation JFF president candidate Raymond Anderson says his team is ready and waiting for an election date. The presidential election had been scheduled for January 14, 2024, but was postponed due to an injunction granted by the Supreme Court following an appeal made on behalf of Beach Soccer Jamaica to become registered with the company's Office of Jamaica, the COJ. The COJ registration would allow those parties' ratification to become delegates ahead of the much-anticipated election. The Supreme Court denied the application for the continuation of the temporary injunction on February 9, paving the way for the election. However, the JFF is also awaiting the go-ahead from the world governing body, FIFA, after they intervened and requested all documents surrounding the court case. And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching.